What is going on, ladies and gentlemen of the tribe? How we doing, everybody? Welcome. This is another Tribe Talks. Another one. Apologies, we weren't here last weekend because it was Mrs. Scribble's birthday, right? That's why I wasn't doing it last weekend. We had a good time. It was very nice.
Gosh darn hoes before bros.
I know, right? And I will say...
After this commercial break.
I have a cold, so I might be sneezing occasionally. There is a plus side, though. The plus side is you can't catch it across Discord voice chat. So I won't make you ill.
Drat.
I was going to ask you to spit in my mouth.
I don't want to go to work this week. Come on.
Speaking of, last night, Mrs. Scribbles and I did watch Sinners. And there was a whole scene of spit in my mouth. It was fucking gross, I'll be honest. It was just like, oh, that's grim.
Some things I don't think I'll quite ever understand in my life, but that's,
Not even Haley Steinfeld, whatever her name is. Yeah, that was, it was a good film, though. I enjoyed it. It's just kind of weird. So yeah, everybody, welcome to Tribe Talks, a Galaxy of Heroes podcast featuring the Welshman and the whale, because the Wolfie is otherwise occupied at the moment, unfortunately. So you're hanging around with only the duo tonight. How you doing today, Karth? You okay, buddy?
I'm doing good. It's been a pretty chill weekend so far. Nothing too crazy going on. Just doing that tester life and testing out stuff and things.
And then laughing at all of the peons, all the commoners down there with their Relic 5s. You're like,
oh well, my test account sets a Relic 5 right now, so I'm testing up the deltas right now instead of testing down. But it's been interesting to say the least. I don't know how much I'm like okay. Like the first two levels I'm fine with. They don't really seem to bother me anymore.
Has that latest change gone live yet?
Yeah.
It has, okay, good. The 5%, 10% to the level 1 and 2 Relic Delta. That seems very reasonable and kind of harkens back to the very first bits of feedback I think most people gave was like, hey, should we try like 5%, not like 45%?
The big swings have been demonstrous, and toning it down has helped a lot. But the issue I'm running into for a lot of this is like a lot of our testing's been around the concept of the average modding for the average player, right? That's kind of what we're looking at. And so while that's an important
thing to test, metric to measure.
Metric to measure. Because that's where the majority of players will find themselves. My issue and a lot of my testing that I've come back with is that if you are above average punching into average, modding makes an obvious difference. I won't argue the point. Hard counters still work quite well at Relic Delta 3 with when you have the modding advantage. But the second you lose that in Relic Delta 3, and you're going like either average into average or average into above average, all of a sudden it's just like, good luck.
Yeah. And, I can understand, like, that's probably the balance CG wants to hit. It's like, hey, you can still do your counters under a negative Relic Delta, but you got to make sure that, you know what you're doing and you've got good mods. Because otherwise... And I'm not saying I agree with this stance, but I think I understand maybe where they're trying to land it. So I haven't been fortunate enough to do like any testing this week because I was away for half the week with work. And that just involved far too many team building exercises and getting drunk and then traveling for multiple hours. And then I came back late on Thursday night, and then Friday is Friday, and then Saturday is hangover day. And Sunday is apparently Scribbles has got a cold.
So well, after all the drinking, that's kind of what happens. You get
the drinking and the traveling and the partying. Yeah. I will be kicking up my testing on Monday.
Yeah. I've had some free time over the weekend, and so that I was just messing around with different things, and so the hard counters, still work relatively well at that delta of 3, with
Yeah.
when the modding is right, and you're got your certain key characters moving before other key characters. It's helpful, but it sits there right on a knife's edge. And
Yeah.
so it's like, for me, I'm just like, that's kind of where like I'm gonna, when they're back in the office tomorrow, I'll press them on some more questions on that, because it's like that I want to know, it's like, how much are you looking at like good modding and datacrons to span certain deltas? And because it's like, for me, I get the point of what we're testing, but it's like, okay, if we whittle down the deltas to the like what people are okay with on numbers, and then datacrons just completely just make the a relic delta of 4 irrelevant, then it's like, well, we're kind of not achieving the objective of the introduction of it in the first place. And so
Yeah, it's really hard because they did specifically say do your testing without datacrons, and obviously the Galactic Challenge game modes that they set up for us with the various teams, you can't take in datacrons there anyway. So the only way we could test that is in the squad arena and things like that. But again, it's like you said, I don't feel like there's much value in actually throwing in datacrons until we settle on at least agreeable numbers in terms of what those relic deltas represent, right? And how should that feel?
Yeah. I would like the delta 3 and 4 to come down a little bit more.
I would, yeah.
And I think that's just from an average player's perspective. I think you're going to have to let the high-end players let good modding and datacron play be more of a portion of the counterplay in the game, instead of just trying to bring this down to a point where things quit working, because that's kind of where they feel like they've gone with the Delta 5 right now, is basically GG, get wrecked.
That 200% damage boost, the 66% less damage income. That's quite a mountain to climb. Because it's you, like Phoenix versus Reaver. It's like one failed days, and Reaver's just going to be like bop, and your Phoenix is dead. So it's like, okay, and that kind of sucks, but also there has been, I think a lot of the community has kind of come around to the idea in general, not everybody obviously, but I'm seeing it more and more in my Discord, that people are starting to go, yeah, well, maybe Relic 5, Relic Delta of 5, you should get fucked. I'm paraphrasing, obviously. They didn't say get fucked, but that's what they meant. And if CG are making relicking easier and giving us more access, then you've got less reason to have a Relic Delta of 5. But we need to see what that's going to look like, man. We need to see what it's going to look like.
And the thing is, too, though, is I understand people are always like, well, we'll just add more deltas. Let's add more deltas. That'll make this gradually seem better. And I'm like, well, that system would make sense if we were at like Relic 15, right? Having a 7 delta relic difference at when there's 15 relic levels makes a lot more sense. But when you're looking at like a relic delta of 7 when there's 9 relic levels, and relic 7, the 7 difference is supposed to be the hard cutoff, that kind of already exists in this game. Relic, if you're going in with less than relic 3, you can't use datacrons, and you're trying to punch into a relic 9 team, you're already losing that fight the majority of the time. You're not really going to stand a snowball's chance in hell anyways. So I understand why they're trying to keep that relic delta tighter, because of where we're at with the current relic levels. If we progress them more quickly, which I have no idea. It took us 2.5 years to get to relic 10, so more quickly could be a 1 relic level per year.
I thought it was 4 years since Relic 8 came out. Relic 9, I could have sworn the document said 4 years. I was like, has it really been 4?
Maybe. I don't know.
Honest to God, I've got no idea. It's been a long ass time.
Chat say it's been 4 years. So
4 years. Relic 9 has been in the game for longer, in my experience, than it's not been in the game. So I've played this game for 7 years and 2 months. Therefore, Relic 9 has been in the game for more time than I've played than the time I've played this game where it hasn't been in the game. If that makes any sense, you know what I'm saying? It's like it's always been here and no Relic 10. Weird.
Yeah. So I get why we're doing certain things. I understand that that particular reason for why we're constraining it, where you don't want to go absolutely buck wild and have, 9 relic deltas and then it take us, 9 years to get 9 more relic levels. And at that junction, we really don't want these easily obtained R3s or R5s to be punching up against all these newest levels. With then there's just, we're back to the same square we were at with Relic 9. There's no reason to invest if your Relic 10 full Relic 10 team is getting wrecked by Relic 5 still. Like, why would we do this? So I get the parameters of it. I'm just trying to narrow down the kind of like, what is the intent? Like, I know they're being cautious of telling us that bluntly, partly because of the same reason why in version 3 Relic Delta 3 and 4 are still as high as they are, right? Because it's easier to leave things high and then slowly walk them in than ever have us drop to like 30% on a Relic Delta 3. And then they're like, yeah, we weren't happy with that though. So we put it to 45 and then everyone goes, oh my God, that's insane. Why would we ever do
hates
this?
us, they don't listen.
Yeah.
No, I understand the approach. I'm just still hoping that we can drop it a bit. I think currently Relic Delta of 3 is 50% and 4 is 100. Is that right?
Yeah. That's correct.
So, it would be nice if they could drop that 100 to like 75, maybe drop the 50 to 35, 40, maybe just see how that plays. But hey,
yeah, I could see Relic Delta 3 being like 35%, drop it like 15%, and then drop the same thing for like Relic Delta 4, drop it like 85%.
Okay.
But again, that's the thing for me is like, what's the benchmarks we're trying to see with the certain deltas? Because for me, that makes it the numbers make more sense, right? So if we're trying to say that soft counter should work within a Relic Delta of 2, and hard counter should work within a Relic Delta of 4, then, okay, that's something I can work on and I can give you better feedback for. But when I'm staring at this from a perspective of like, well, I don't know what you like, is it just everything quits working at 4 and 5? Because like right now, it just feels like if you're going average modding into their average modding at the Relic Delta 4, it's just like, good luck. You're not going to have a good time. And so it's like, I don't know where they want other things to factor in. Where do we factor in decent modding for a team, and when does that get rewarded? When do we factor in good data chron investment for a counter, and where does that get rewarded? And things of that nature.
Broad is the problem, right? Is that some teams modding matters more, and some teams are just inherently more meta than other teams. It's like if you're to compare Jawas to Malicos, you could have them testing the same battles at the same Relic Deltas, and it's like, you can't have a hard and fast rule. We do need to have some give. And maybe they just want all these crappy old teams to just be really good if you've got them at Relic 10 and they're facing off against Relic 5 characters. And maybe that's okay, because you're still not going to invest in R10 Jawas, let's be honest.
Unless CG puts a literal and figurative, weapon to your head and says, you got to do it or else, it's for the next, for GL Mando. Whales. Here's the Jawa screwer and her team.
I mean, let's be real. Relic 10 comes to the game. You know that there's going to be requirements for Relic 10. As in, there'll be some legendary events,
legendaries, GLs. There's a whole slew of things that are going to come out that will eventually facilitate the reason for investing outside of just doing it because you can.
Yeah, and I am kind of curious about Relic 10's accessibility, because on the one hand they talked about we're going to make relic leveling a little bit easier. They didn't really give too much information, pretty vague. So is that Relic 1 to 7 easier? Is that the whole way? And then Relic 10 is using a new signal data that you can actually get through the Jawa Scavenger and other areas, which is deep and mysterious.
Well, yeah, that was the thing that a lot of people said, like, well, where are the mats coming for Relic 10? I'm like, as far as they said to me, it was just signal data that was going to change. So that means you're on a brand new grind for that anyways, because if it's even like remotely a pain in the ass to get your hands on, like if it still requires 20 droid brains and 20 girded keypads to go to Relic 10 and then 50 of whatever this new
30 girded keypads and 30 droid brains.
Oh, shut up, please. No. We don't need more of what like Relic 8 did to Relic 9. Like it's so dumb that they never really addressed those changes on some of that stuff. But I mean, the question really comes down to is like, what do they mean by accelerating?
Moly. So we've just had Dave donate $50. This is proceeding exactly as CG intended. Release at stupid levels. Have everyone accept what is slightly less. Have everyone accept that is slightly less terrible. Output. Our input never mattered. I mean, maybe, Dave. Maybe. Thank you. First of all, thank you, Dave. That's very generous, mate. Maybe. But that's one of the things we just can't know, right? Right.
Well, I mean, and the thing is too is that we knew that was going to be the way it started anyways. It was the system was pretty egregious, and we knew we would walk it down, and that's why we're testing, because we can go through and sort that out. But I mean, hell, I thought the 5% on the Relic Delta 1 and the 10% on the level 2 was like further than they would ever have gone in the first place for going down. I thought 10% per Delta was kind of going to be their cutoff. So going below that was beyond what I thought they were capable of. It's just now with Relic Delta 3 and 4 is where does that stop?
To be fair, that those and this might come off as divisive. I didn't actually mind Relic Delta 1 and 2 at 10 and 20%. I thought it was okay. I was like, yeah, it's kind of nasty, but you can overcome 20%. Like a 20% increase in damage and a 17% reduction is still okay, largely, in most counters.
Yeah, it was still fairly winnable with decent modding and if you got into some Datacron play, it would be recoverable. But I think now the problem is going to be is like when you're starting to use soft counters that like, because the soft counters that will always be really hard for CG to just code out of ever functioning are going to be the ones that just have Terminator loops and a way to control the opposing team, like with like how Phoenix does it and how Zori does it and things of that nature, where they can kind of suppress the team into the floor. And then even though you're nicking them, you'll eventually get through them, especially teams like that Zori and CLS that have exposes where that damage isn't being modified.
There are some teams that are disproportionately impacted by Relic Delta and like exposes, like you said, and thermals and burning and all that sort of nonsense is one of those teams.
So those ones can kind of get through some of the mechanics irregardless of whatever CG puts into the game. And so I feel like a lot of people's low invested counters that punch up really strong, those aren't going to be compromised as much. It's really going to be those Datacron counters as you start moving closer, is that if you are trying to do like a Relic 7 GL Leia into a Relic 9 Spectre team, even though that's a hard counter, that's going to come down a lot more to modding checks and Datacron checks when it gets to fighting those teams versus just being like, well, this beats that full stop. And so that's kind of what we're looking at, trying to see how well tuned is that portion of the meta, essentially.
Being able to, like, having a damage reduction and when trying to one tap Ezra Bridger Exile, that can make or break a counter quite quickly. And we all know how tanky GL Ahsoka can be. I mean, we all agree that maybe she's not great shakes in many ways, but she can take a beating. So any sort of damage reduction on her that's tacked on at the end is going to be significant, I feel. So yeah, that is going to suck a little bit.
Yeah, a lot of people are worried about like the cleanups and things of that nature, and that's kind of the that's going to be the one that I think is going to most detrimentally impact smaller accounts, is people that rely on getting 3 to 4 members out and then using something to clean up that can just beat her into the floor. And right now, if you're at a delta of 3 or 4, like you're never going to really overcome that unless there's no Datacron on their team and you've got a Datacron that's adding just ludicrous amounts of damage to your team.
Yeah.
Because it's just the flat damage reduction on the back end and her constant like regeneration of protection up, or bonus protection.
Yeah.
Makes it very challenging to chew through that when you're barely every turn you take is barely getting enough damage to offset what she's gaining back.
Yeah, and she's constantly counterattacking, and you can never prevent it. So, unless you're stealthed, I suppose, but that's a different
stealth one. Or you can somehow land the daze on her.
She cleanses daze immediately. If you daze her, she cleanses. It's in her kit, isn't it? She's like, she cleanses daze and gains some buffs. I can't remember what it is.
Oh, but, her true defense or whatever it is.
Yeah, she's a pain in the ass. She's a real pain in the ass, boys. I tell you. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting. People saying, so my Phoenix versus Reaver is dead? No, not really. Phoenix still works pretty well against Reaver, but if you're trying to do that at an R5 differential, you're going to have a delta of 5. You're going to have a hard time. The real solution is it's not dead. You just need to put more relics into it. unless you're within a sort of 2 relic delta is fine. 3 is actually okay. I found in Phoenix versus Reaver.
It's 4 and 5 that becomes the problem because the drop in damage. AOE. Well, it's not even that. It's the AOEs.
If they get to one, yeah.
Well, yeah, it just means if you miss anything, the AOEs will take you. Grand Inquisitor's AOE will give you a really hard time. Fifth Brother's AOE, Eighth Brother's AOE.
Yeah,
it just leaves you. It's a very narrow margin at that junction for everything working perfectly, which is unfortunate.
Yeah. Excuse me one second, Garth. I'm just grabbing a drink. Carry the talks with yourself. You'll look like a schizophrenic or something.
I can do that quite well. I have no issue.
I talk to my wall every day.
Yeah, I talk to myself all the time. It's very simple. But no one's doubting that relic death does need to be brought in a little bit more, but I think the better part is this is them being a little bit more upfront about their objectives with certain relic delta levels, because we just are stuck at a point where if there is a delta level that's designed to be still competitive, then we need to know what that transition comes through as. If deltas are basically, if there's a delta that's designed to be like, hey, you can go screw yourself, you're not going to work anymore, then I'd like to know that's their intention out the rip. Let me know that at a delta of 5, no matter what I do, that's GG, game over, I'm done doing certain things. So there's a combination of things that just are going to be a pain in the butt. But that's what we're testing. A lot of the guys in the testing program are spending a lot of time remodding entire teams and testing at different relic levels and testing, and keeping the track of their results and seeing how those kind of things work out. And so we're hoping to have a little bit more. We're hoping that we're quite a ways away still from this being implemented into the game. I know a lot of people are worried this is going to show up in the next week or so, and I don't think that's even remotely close to the case. I think we're still several weeks away from this being implemented into the game. Yep. So I'm hopeful that we take our time and we get kind of everything fleshed out. I know that may not be the time frame that CG wants to run with, but I would like to feel more confident about it right now. Right now, I don't feel very confident about the Relic Delta 3 or 4. I feel
too much unknowns right now. Too many unknowns.
Yeah.
But
Well, and
like you said, I
Go ahead.
don't think it's coming for weeks yet. So, I think we still got at least a month, probably longer. So we'll see. We'll see. But, as soon as we know, we'll communicate it. We're doing our best to try and keep the community as informed as we possibly can on the latest developments within the playtest environment. It's not a beta test, guys. It's a playtest. I've been told in no uncertain terms that it's a playtest. Okay, I don't know why beta test must have some ramifications to it that they don't want to align themselves with. So, playtest.
Sure. I'll whatever it is. I'm just happy that we're having some level of input before, this goes live.
Agreed. And, they've said based on the success of this, not saying it is a success yet, but if this does turn into a fruitful relationship, CG have said it has the potential to open up more doors in the future around further playtests where we are allowed to show you guys footage, where we can share screens and we can be like, hey, look, this is the new Galactic Legend and we're going to be showing you early sort of thing. That's kind of cool for the community. That's kind of cool for creators. I love that. I would love for that to be a reality. So I don't think there's necessarily a downside to us doing this testing, which is good.
No, I just think people have more access to be vocal about and to someone who can actually get in touch with CG. And so I think that's where it gets to a certain degree of people feel more engaged, but also more ignored, right? Because people will give feedback, we'll pass it along. CG tells us what the next thing there is, and the changes they wanted to see didn't come through. And then everyone immediately goes, they're just ignoring us. They don't want to do what we want to do. And just like, well, I mean, they gave a pretty good explanation with it, is that they would rather incrementally walk it down than ever have to revert, because they're really worried that once people see a massive swing go down and then it come back up in either a final release or whatever else, that that we were doing the opposite of what they were asking for. So
yeah. And so we've how did these, Kimmy says in the chat, how do these changes keep the game going? I think we've agreed that an element of Relic Delta does need to come to the game to keep things viable, but you can't look at Relic Delta in isolation and be like, this is CG's choice to keep the game running. No, I mean, look at what they've said so far, right? It's been Relic Delta was announced and people are like, why didn't you just give us Relic 10? And they announced, well, Relic 10 is also coming, and people are now complaining that Relic 10 is coming, when really it's what people have already agreed that they'd be okay with. And then they're saying, but that doesn't help things. What about all the relic levels? And they say, well, we're going to make relic leveling easier. Okay, that's not good enough. What about new game modes? And say, well, we've got a new game mode coming to the game as well. So there's it's not just Relic Delta, it's Relic Delta, it's Relic 10. It's addressing early gearing and relic requirements. It's also new game modes coming to the game. It's not one thing that's changed. They're working on multiple projects here. So I know it's really easy to get caught up and to grab the fire and the pitchforks and be like, yeah, let's burn CG to the ground because Relic Delta sucks. But it's not the only stoke in the fire, as it were. It's not the only thing they've got going.
And the other thing on that too is that the Relic Delta is designed to basically provide a level of incentive to keep progressing. The game has been stagnant for so long that players have, the thing is, what Relic Delta is doing, what has been prevalent in the game all the way up until we stalled out at Relic 9, right? Which is basically saying that the more you invest, the better the team, the harder you hit, the better you do. It's worth it to keep investing. And the problem is with relics is we hit a junction where it no longer became worth investing. And so Relic Delta is their way to be the throttle on investments while still allowing them to not overly tune anything else that comes with later relic developments. They do not want to have to do basically what other games in the industry have done. Marvel Strike Force is the example everyone loves to bring to the top of the pile.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, so what if we made Relic 10 go, okay, you get 50,000 health, 50,000 protection, you get 2,000 more offense, you get 2,000 of this, you get 10% more crit avoid or evasion mastery or whatever.
Oh, God, no. Put it away.
You make it so you make every Relic level so incrementally more powerful than before to make the investment worth the time. That what ends up happening is that the power creep starts to exponentially multiply as you continue to go up. So basically what Relic Delta steps in and does and says, hey, what we're trying to do is to reward players that keep investing. So as you continue to invest, it gives you a power edge while you go, but it's dynamic. So as people progress to Relic 10 and so on and so forth, as the bottom floor comes up behind that, the more you keep investing, the more you keep getting rewarded by that. And so you're not going to see people that just keep leaving, their Phoenix squad at Relic 3 and Hera at Relic 7 and Captain Rex at Relic 7 because of, requirements, and then leave it there for the rest of the time because it will still beat Relic, 7, 8, 9, Grand Inquisitor or Reva teams, things of that nature. So it's one of those things where it's like when you're looking at the big picture, it adds a dynamic tool for them to utilize without having to completely overhaul drastic other parts of the game to make things still worth investing in, because that's what kind of game we're in. This is a hero collection game that's all about increasing the power level of those characters. So there has to be a certain junction where it's worth investing, that there's a reward for the investment, and that people continue to do that. Because that was a thing way back before Relics even came out. There was you got to get everything to Gear 12, man. Gear 12 was a huge
it was a massive
stat change. Yeah. Gear 13 was huge before Relics even came to the game.
I remember when Gear 13 came to the game, one of the like Relic 0, let's say, one of the big boosts was all of a sudden that the speed bonuses you gained from those gear pieces, from Gear 12 plus pieces, now counted towards your mod multiplier, whereas it didn't previously. If you had only 5 of the Gear 12 pieces, and you didn't have the extra level, you didn't get that 10% speed boost from a speed set on the speed found within Gear 12, which is really weird. I don't know why it worked like that. But as soon as you hit Gear 13, you gained essentially like an extra 1 or 2 speed on all those characters that did it. I was like, oh, that's nice. That's a nice bump. But yeah, the stats on those were crazy. Like some of them are giving you like 6,000, 7,000 health. A piece.
And
it was huge.
And that's the thing though, is that nobody balked at that change. They did, but like not to the level of outcry we saw with Datacrons and Relic Delta and things of that nature.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
It's just people get to a certain point where when it was gear, it was expected. And now that Relics is basically another form of gear progression, now we're upset that we're going to continue to push that along. But, it's like what a lot of MMOs have done over the last, 5-10 years. They have to go back and examine their core mechanics and reevaluate, because it doesn't make sense to have, the stats where they are, because the game is so dynamically shifted from where it started.
Yeah.
And so they do things that change that. Hell, even like SWTOR, a dumb one that they did, but it was a really simple fix for them, is that the planet you're on has a level cap. So if you're max level and go back to a planet that you were on, you go to the max level of that planet. All your stats get adjusted for that level rating.
Down?
Yeah, scales you down. You still have all your abilities. You still have all your multipliers for having your raid gear on or whatever else, but it scales you down. So that way you aren't running through in the PvP areas of that game mode and obliterating the young guys.
Stomping on nerds. Yeah.
And so it was a way for them to address it. And so we're kind of looking at the same thing. We're looking at a dynamic way to address that power difference in a meaningful fashion that benefits people that have invested and will benefit people who invest while they go.
Yeah.
I just think a lot of people are just dead convinced that now with this change, they're going to be up against these endless walls of Relic 9s and they'll never win a GAC ever again. And I'm just like, that can't possibly be true. Like, there is less than 90 players in this game with 16 million GP accounts. Like,
and you're one of them.
Yeah. I'm actually number 69. I'm quite proud of that at the moment. It almost makes me a little want to relic up anything else right now because I want to stay at level 69. But beside the point, you know, the for a lot of things, you know, most people are going to have a couple of squads that might be that high relic investment, and you're probably going to have them too, because if you guys both go after Leviathan, you both go after Profundity, you're both going to get a lot of the same relic 9s. A lot of people don't put relic 9s outside of requirements and GLs.
And frankly, I'll be honest, I don't see that changing. With this, I don't see people stopping going for Profundity, stopping going for Leviathan, because they're like, I really need to R9 my fucking Phoenix or whatever. I don't think that's the case. And part of the Delta testing that we're doing is showing that you don't have to do that. R7 is fine. And R7 is a lot easier to hit now than it ever has been. And hopefully with the changes that supposedly are coming, and we have to hold CG accountable for this because they're making it sound like it's going to get a lot easier. The question, it's going to be less of an issue.
Yeah, the caveat with that one is I don't quite understand what they meant by making newer characters not
no idea
need relic levels. And so my brain's just like, is your solution to go, hey, if you max the marquee event, we give you a light speed token?
But that doesn't fucking solve the problem at all, does it? Because it's like,
no,
it's only solve the problem if you whale.
Or is it like, hey, if you get a 5-star unlock, we'll give you a gear 11 light speed token or some nonsense, right? I don't know what the play is. Or do we quit getting shards and then we just get light speed tokens that grant, you know, a 3-star character, a 4-star character, a 5-star character? Like, what if I'm so perplexed as to what they meant by.
So here's the spitball. Here's the spitball. What if the marquee event changes, right? And you know each tier of the marquee. What if instead that starts giving you gear levels for the character, right? So you hit tier 3, it's like it takes you immediately to gear 12, right? It just gives you everything. It like automatically applies all the gear. Your 3-star character, gear 12. If you just doing the marquee event, it just like goes bling, 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 and maybe takes the abilities up to level 6 or level 7. And then if you go to 4 stars, it'll be like your relic 1. It's just like it gives you a relic 1 character. I don't know, but I can, you know, they've already got rewards baked into the marquee system. It seems wild to me that they'd do that. Just because Kyrotex is still a thing, right? It's still like a kind of a big deal for everybody up until you hit endgame, and then it is a non-issue, right?
Yeah.
So it seems wild that they would do that, but I don't know how else they're supposedly addressing gearing and relicking new characters without just straight up giving us the gear.
That's where my brain was at too. I was like, I get that you're taking the alleviation off of keeping up with, and again, we don't know 100% about, you know, with all this stuff that's coming, you know, air quotes, that they have an incentive for, you know, we don't know if there's going to be a need to keep up with the Joneses as well as trying to work on the backlog, right? That we're just guessing off of the fact that they want to make that a separate gearing kind of system from their post, that okay, maybe there's a reason that we need to do both. And so at that junction, you know, that alleviates a problem, right? If I'm able to keep up with the Joneses, at least on gearing new stuff while we're doing the marquees, that's helpful. I don't know how yet, because most of the stuff is kind of like whatever, you know, if I'm not chasing the newest thing, like, why do I need to keep up with it? So maybe they'll give us an answer for that, because right now it's answering the question in ways that I don't understand why it matters. And so that's just kind of like, I'm like, I wish they would give us a little bit more explanation, because like a lot of people are like, if we had better access to gear 12 to get to gear 13, you know, that the gear 12 mats, to get to year 13 and better access to get to Relic 5, most people have been like, whatever if Relic Delta comes. You know, if I can at least reasonably get to Relic 5 on my teams within a decent time frame, I'm not worried about the difference for that.
And you know, if they, we know that they are taking a look at the scavenger because, you know, with the changes, they're going to be adding in ways of getting droid brains there, right? So what if in the same vein, they address the conversion ratio for stuff like carbonite circuit boards and bronzium wirings and girder keypads to make it not fucking suck? And instead of, you know, converting like 1,000 bits of gear to get 3 carbonite circuit boards, it gets you like 300. And all of a sudden you're like, oh, carbonite circuit boards and bronzium wirings is no longer a constraint for us.
Well,
that would
even
do
at
something.
that too, though, they could easily add to different events more of that kind of gear as well. Like you could add more to the assault battles. You could add more to a variety of different things in the game. I mean, hell, make the Leia and their escalation worth something.
Yeah, and honestly, CG, you can have the Ewok shards. We don't need them. You can have those back. Okay? I will sacrifice the shard shop currency. make
the last tier that requires Leia, I don't know, actually reward the relic materials instead of just a guaranteed one Omicron. Like there is a whole handful of things that you can get, but like even with the assault battles, you could give more carbonite, bronzium, chromium,
signal data,
rhodium, signal data with those later tiers as a way to incentivize people to keep investing, and a better idea for a lot of players as to what relic levels are going to be. Because like if it's like, hey, we're going to set these at relic 3, and if you come into your fanatic devotion assault battle, which was a pain in the dick prior to R9, even with that, without Reva, honestly, without Reva it was really shitty.
It's been so long, I can't remember how I beat it.
Tier 4 is tier 4 with Shakti and Yodo. It just gets really taxing because if they accidentally like delete somebody, you lose. Okay. So, and they had a ton of sustain, very hard to lock him in until Reva with the locked heal immunity. But beside the point, like if they set those to Relic Delta 3 and then or Relic 3 and you can go to Relic 7 and then just rumple stomp a lot of your assault battles and then they start giving more things, I think people would be.
I mean that is like one of the only real big pluses about Relic Delta is a lot of the tough PvE stuff is going to get stomped now. Like Proving Grounds is Relic 3, so, and I've heard those are very hard. But now you'll be like, I've got an R9 Lord Vader clones team. I'm just going to AoE once and everything will die. Or I've got I went for Pirate King Hondo, so I've got R9 gas, and he's just going to go woomph and everything will die.
Well, doesn't Proving Grounds allow you to take in any team though? There's no restrictions.
I believe so. I think there's one that might be a fleet battle, maybe more than one, but
okay.
But those won't be affected, but the grounds won't.
But the ground ones, you'll dominate. You'll take one team to Relic 7 or 8, take a GL squad up to high relics, and then just take that into every Proving Ground, get it on sim and be done.
Yeah.
So
speaking of, I R9'd my Ray yesterday. Sorry.
I did see that.
I had a moment of
proud.
I had a moment of wanton rebellion. I was like, you know what? I know Maz is coming in like a week. Fuck it. I want an R9 Ray. So I just went bloop. It was a good time. It was a good feeling. Haven't used it yet, but it feels good.
I just like when so the focus I think that they need to work on is that R5 to R7 grind per se. Because I know like R7, the issue from R5 to R7 is the Electrum conductors that you just burn through them so fast, and you need so many to even go even beyond that. Where that's like the thing I would focus in on is getting those rewards. Zimbitals are so cheap for R7. You need 10. They're not that hard to get your hands on. You're not going to be doing, 12 a day kind of thing. And so I don't think those ones you would need to worry about as much. I would be more worried about getting things that reward everything below that in a quantity where players can more reasonably get to those to Relic 7. And I think if they start doing that and then meaningfully keep adding relic levels, then players get to a better baseline of being able to quote unquote keep up with the Joneses. Because a Relic Delta of 2, Relic 7 to Relic 9, for right now, that is fine. Like your soft counters work, your hard counters work, as long as you're not modded like shit and you don't go with no Datacron into a level 9, perfected cron.
An FDC. You're like,
yeah. You should in reality be fine.
You'll win that nine times out. If the counter is 100%, you'll still win it 9 times out of 10, and almost like 9.9 times out of 10. That's okay. Yeah. It does get hairy at the Relic Delta 3 and the Relic Delta of 4, and with R10 coming into being, that's going to be a more frequent occurrence. But let's not kid ourselves and pretend like all of a sudden you're facing a bunch of Relic 10s and you're only a Relic 7. So
even then, right? It's like if there's almost no incentive unless you are one of those guys who's 14 million GP in Carbonite. It's like you're going to be that guy who is like, I put that a Relic 10 team on the front wall and nothing else, and they couldn't win. Haha, suck it, nerds. It's like, that's going to be such a rare case for most players, even at the high end. It's like, if you start Relic 10ing your roster at the high end, where you need to do like GLs are going to be a good shout for a lot of people. People are talking about fleet investments. You need to go to Relic 10. Those types of characters, sure, yeah, you're going to find a lot of those where that's going to matter. Although I find it funny when saving Revan to Relic 10 day one. It's like, you guys do realize that they ruined the whole point of doing that, right? Like, unless they give you like 10 speed on the Relic level increase, the Scimitar will just say screw you.
What? No, they're saying GL Revan to Relic 10 day one. Obviously, that's the Revan they meant. R10 will come with GL Revan coming to the game as well.
Okay, yeah. Fair enough.
But maybe you do need Jedi Knight Revan and Darth Revan at Relic 10 for the unlock.
Yeah, hey, I'll take it. I'll take some Relic 10 action for Revan. I'll do anything that's not
that
following
Sith Empire
the current
team,
releases.
The Sith Empire team, no joke, is actually going to clap in Relic Delta, because you're going to have an R9 Malak and an R9 Revan. Malak is going to be tanky as fuck, and that life drain is going to be scary because it's going to multiply. And Revan hits hard. Like, he does hit hard. You give him some good amounts of, fucking extra damage amplification. It'll actually feel like an attacker matters at a higher relic level. It'll be like, whoa, holy shit. That's going to be crazy, dude.
I like the people's response of just like, we shouldn't do it. I'm like, it's too bad. It's coming. So work on ways in which you will be more okay with it. I'm sorry. Like, you want me to tell you anything different? It's not going to happen.
It's coming whether we like it or not.
And to be honest, though, the system is not as bad as overpowered. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, there are ways. I
still haven't looked into it. I'll be honest. I still haven't looked into the overpowered mechanic.
Overpowered is like it's a constant stat buff, right? So it's one of those things where it's like, imagine if CG was like, okay, we're done with relics. Now we're doing super relics. And so relic 1 of that, like, let's just say it's like a 10% stat increase at super relic 1. And then as you go up to super relic 9, you're 90% stat increase, right?
Okay.
But what happens is that's a permanent stat increase to your character.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's just more progression.
It's more progression, but it's just you're constantly above that. Whereas what Galaxy Heroes is doing is going, okay, instead of doing super relics, it goes, all right, if I'm relic 9 and you're relic 5, I take 66% less damage, you take 100% more damage. Mm-hmm. If you come to relic 7, now I take 10% less damage and you take 10% more damage. So it jumps up. If I go up to relic 9, then I move up a little bit, but you can keep up with me, kind of thing. So the scale is more dynamic. Where overpowered is like, it's a flat stat increase all the time. You always have that buff.
Evo over here is saying even level 1 is like a 50% damage increase. That's kind of wild.
Well, yeah, the stats for overpower were pretty nuts. They by the time you get to where the top end is, it gets really, really, really out of control. But that's just kind of
Yeah, that's kind of crazy. That's kind of crazy.
yeah. But I mean, out of everything they could have done, I don't understand why people are having such a knee-jerk negative reaction to this. I don't think at the end of the day, it's going to be a system that 90% of the players are going to be like, oh my God, it's the worst thing in the world.
We have the worst thing in the world with Datacrons. We can't have two worst things in the world. This can be the second worst thing in the world.
And even that, though, Datacrons in the long term ended up being very healthy for the game. Whether or not people agree with them.
I'm pro Datacron. I love them. But
I'm pro Datacron up to a point. There are certain levels of Darkseid Ray can go burn in fiery pits of hell.
Lord Vader with no cooldowns and high levels of evasion. Yeah, I still think he's the king of hell, and Darkseid Vision Ray is like the queen of hell, and maybe the Great Mothers is like the auntie, like the disgruntled auntie of hell. If we less of those and more Wampacrons, please.
Well, and that's going to be the part with the FDCs. I think the FDCs will continue to get their stats walked in unless they're the level 15s, because the level 9s having those absurd stats, I think were like a kind of a misstep in my opinion. Like with Wampa, I'm fine with it because it's one character, but even then, giving any team 100% offense is kind of dumb.
Especially when you give it, I think it was like 150% armor pen and 100% crit damage. On top.
Yeah,
it's like
it's kind of dumb.
All of the multipliers, please.
Though I'll tell you what I've been having fun with in my arena is literally one-shotting JMK.
Literally one-shotting JMK.
Hondo takes his first turn. You use the second special, and then you swarm, and basically JMK dies.
Yeah. And that's what you can do now the Hodocron isn't here. Fucking stupid Hodocron. Like, and you could do that to Lord Vader as well, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
Oh, no,
which
Lord
is so
Vader's,
nuts.
Like,
it's
lightning
so
ray,
nuts.
bitch.
But, you know, it's one of those things where it's just... that was what everyone said, right? When Hana released, everyone's like, he's stuck so bad that he just doesn't do anything. It's like... Yeah, and then wait till the DC set refreshes, and then all of a sudden, you know, he's out here beating everything. Like
and I went and did. How do you beat Hondo? He's impossible to beat.
Well, I think unfortunately Hondo gets beat by the same thing Spectre does, which is Leia. But at the same time,
Leia beats everything.
Dude, that ambush mechanic is like, it feels like Leia does nothing, and then when she starts getting ambushed on people, they just die so fast.
And she does have the crazy mastery ramping, to be fair. It's a bit of it's, you know, like Slacker, you know that mastery is ramping because you can see that little siphon, the siphon numbers getting higher. He's swiping all the time, so you know that mastery is going up. With Leia, it's easy to forget that, you know, if you don't hit her, watch out. Because that first ult might look scary, that second ult is going to blow the board. You're like, oh shit.
Well, especially with when she gets rid of the protection, ambush just makes it so scary.
Ambush is a really good debuff. To be fair, it's a really good debuff. It's an immediate 50% damage increase. You can't really offset that with ISO 8. I don't know what ISO 8 is. Is that mods?
No, ISO 8 was another progression.
It's a worse version of less customizable mods. Okay. So yeah. It's a wild time that we all live in, ladies and gentlemen. It's a very, very wild time. So yeah, work still needs to be done just on the RD3 and RD4. Basically, like, if we can drop them a little bit, I'll be okay.
Well, and no one's arguing the point that matchmaking doesn't need some form of pass at things. Like,
and that's true. Whether Relic Delta is a thing or not, it's flat out. It needs to be sorted. It's fucked, especially at the lower end.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the thing. Is like Carbonite players should not be facing high GP accounts, but at the same time, you know, I think for a lot of people, you'll find that relatively quickly your win rate in GAC will be what CG expects, which I know nobody loves that answer, but you're supposed to, in CG's exact words, their philosophy for a successful GAC is for players to go 5-4 and 4-5. That is their own words for how
they
it's
want you
supposed
to
to
win
be.
half your matches, basically. So
Yeah,
50%.
and so it's like,
and
some of you guys are gonna take it in the shorts for a little bit, and then you'll be fine.
Yeah, no, exactly. You're absolutely right. Because say we're looking at it from a perspective of, okay, right now I've got a 2 million GP account, my alt account, that free to play account. I've beaten rosters with 9 million because they haven't been able to deal with, because of many reasons. One, they suck. It's straight up. They just suck. Their mods are terrible. If they'd have just set some good teams on defense, I wouldn't win, right? And two, they just couldn't deal with Executor on defense, right? So yes, they've got a lot more GP. They are terrible at the game, so they do deserve to be quite low in the tables, right? I understand the perspective of people that are like, yeah, but now with Relic Delta, I won't win that match. You won't. I agree. But when that happens, and that'll happen across the board, all of those people with higher GP are going to be getting pushed higher and higher up the tables unless they just don't sign up for GAC, right? They're going to keep winning their matches and they're going to get pushed higher and higher, and then you're not going to face them. Then you'll be facing other people like you. So you will get fairer matches eventually, and you're still going to be winning 50% of your matches. Your crystal income won't be impacted. Maybe in the short term, you might drop down a league or a division, but after a while, you will climb back up. And you'll only start facing those big guys again once you catch up to the point that the Relic Delta is now becoming an issue, right? So eventually, it kind of will help matchmaking. The real problem with matchmaking is not that the matchmaking system is bad. It's just a league ladder-based system. It's the way we interact with it is wrong, right? It's like the fact that people sign up and don't play is what fucks it. If people signed up and played, it wouldn't be an issue. But the people that sign up and don't play ruin it for small accounts. That's the issue. And you can address that. But CG, for one reason or another, just doesn't choose to. I don't know why. So that's weird.
Yeah, that's a hard one to get a good answer on, because that's what a lot of people have been like, well, what do we do about players that just sign up and then don't show up or don't do any more than their 10? And so I think the easiest thing they could implement right away, which again, I know why they don't want to, but I think it would solve a lot of people's initial problems. It would just suck changing leagues, because if you go to Kyber 5 and you're facing all those 14 million players that don't give a shit about the game when you first get into Kyber 5, you would get absolutely just pounded back into Erodium. So like I can understand why they want to be careful about like having like gates of what you can and can't face, or because it's like, let's say like below, if you're above 13 million GP, you cannot fall out of Kyber 5, right? You're just stuck perpetually in Kyber 5. But the problem is that players that promote from Erodium 1 to Kyber 5, unless they get catapulted to Kyber 1, which still happens, I find hysterical.
It's weird.
The issue runs into that when they promote, then they're going to get stuck against these accounts. And, if you're 9 or 10 million GP wading into that Kyber 5 with these 14 million GP, you're going to probably lose a lot of those battles because of that blockage at the end of it. And so it becomes this, solution that needs to get crafted in a manner that makes it easier for those players to get in and be competitive without being, punished too hard. But we do need to strain out some of those bigger accounts out of the lower ends of matchmaking, because it is just kind of a crap shoot for players at, Carbonite 3, 2 and 1 facing, 12 million GB players, because somebody logged in for GAC to basically go 1 and 3 every week or 1 and 2 every week, because they just want their minimum daily rewards for being logged into GAC.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it rewards you, unfortunately, to sign up, even if you don't play. It's like you kind of need that daily crystal income. So, I get it. It's a flawed system, But if everybody actually cared about the game and actually played, it wouldn't be an issue. But hey, there we go. There we go.
I mean, that's the only reason why I can kind of get on board with your sign up for the try hard league of GAC kind of thing.
All right.
Where it's like you do a GAC mode where it's like you have if you don't sign up, you get put in this one mode. If you do sign up, yeah, you get a separate mode, kind of like what we do with Conquest, right? You have normal, easy, and hard.
Just have a casual and a competitive GAC.
Yeah, and you could just make it so that people have to choose to be competitive, and then that would hopefully weed out a lot of the problem for a lot of players. I think what no matter which way you cut it, though.
If they, sorry, you can continue that in a sec. I just want to jump on that competitive versus casual GAC, right? If you just did a casual GAC, and what it did was win or lose, you get exactly the same as if you lost in normal competitive, like you're not lost in the current system. So your rewards system is flat, still the bottom end. You can turn up, doesn't matter who you face. You're just there to have a GAC and get some bottom tier free rewards. But if you go into the competitive GAC, it's the current structure. Like win, you get this much, lose, you get that much, right? Because then all the people that don't want to play can just go in the fucking casual mode and not worry. It's just like, yeah, you don't have to play. You don't have to do anything. You just get the loser's amounts and you don't bother anybody else. Sorry, continue your thought process now, Cuth. Sorry.
Oh, it was where I was headed with it was just the rewards. Like the CG has been very adamant about keeping rewards tied to engagement.
Yeah.
And so like I understand where they struggle with that, but I think at a certain junction, something needs to be done to make players feel like that at least we're kind of monitoring and keeping an eye on things. I know that at least the vibe I've gotten, which, you know, reading that as much as you'd like, it's nothing important, is they don't want to make any changes on anything until they see how this impacts the ecosystem of PvP.
Yeah.
And in my mind, the GAC will work itself out relatively quickly. I feel like people are gonna have people who were spending a lot of time punching up are gonna take it in the shorts for a season, and then they'll equalize and start being competitive again and getting that 50-50 win rate. The ones where I see the biggest problem with the matchmaking course is always going to be TW, because there's such a broad spread of what you will face in that environment.
Absolutely fucked. I mean, you say it's a broad spread until you get to the very, very top, and then it's a very narrow spread. Like when you're like 750 mil GP guilds, there's only a handful of guilds you can face unless you absolutely sandbag the fuck out of your matches. It's kind of weird. It's kind of weird. TW, matchmaking is totally fucked. I mean, the whole game mode's fucked. It needs to be taken out back and shot for its own good, and then we can get a new puppy. All right.
Yeah.
That last one was gone rabid. It was old.
Yeah.
It was its hips had gone. It was just dragging its back legs along, shitting itself everywhere, and it stinks. You know, sometimes it's a kindness.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's the one that I think that's the one I would be worried about. GAC, I don't think I'm too worried about, because like you said, the accounts that you're seeing that are bigger accounts, they should start winning more consistently, because they will set something that you cannot beat. They'll start winning. They'll get catapulted away from you, and you'll see them less and less, and you should be seeing more competitive matches. That is the hopeful result I think CG is going to see with this system being implemented. And, you know, hey, that's going to suck for a little while, but I think for when players start balancing back out and their win rate and their rewards restabilize, I think it'll be a thing that people will be relatively impartial to. The one that's going to suck no matter which way you go is always going to be TW, because TW is going to be one of those things where it's like, if you are barely clearing 380 and you walk into a guild that's sandbagging down from like 550 or 600 down to like the 400 range, you know, if they've got like the front two zones full of relic 9s and you don't really have that much firepower, like you're gonna get stalled out, and there's not really anything that's going to change that. The system will go, okay, hey, you've lost 2, here's your give me round. But when you're barely clearing 380, those give me rounds are still a bit of a challenge. You're not going to be getting somebody who's usually outside of your reward bracket, so you punching down is going to be very, very challenging. Yeah. And so like those ones I see a lot of the mid game players, they're going to struggle with the changes, and they're going to have to adapt different tactics when it comes to doing things. In GAC, you're going to have to change in what you're using on offense and defense. You might have to switch to being an efficiency player for a little while, save your high relic teams for offense so that you can, better power through. That's what you focus on upgrading first to make sure that you can still clear boards and stand a chance at winning. But I feel like, I guess the problem is, everyone tells me, well, you're a whale, you're at 60 million GP. Your opinion doesn't matter because we've always
exactly,
been this,
Karth. I'm glad you say it. Your opinion does not matter. I'm glad we can all agree.
But it's like I've lived through all the differences as well. Like, there was a point in time where it's like you remember trying to take gear like 6 to 9 into a gear 11 team, right? Like good luck. You just get wrecked. That's what was going to happen.
It's definitely much more pronounced in the gear levels before you hit relics. It's a lot more pronounced that how out of depth you are. Like somebody's got a gear how many people here have been stalled out by a gear 12 zated crew because you just can't kill the fucker, right? Like that used to be a real thing. Or a nest, just a gear 12 nest. You're like, oh, you can't kill it. Unlucky. Like, that used to be a real thing. Yeah.
Unless you happen to have Jedi Knight Revan, which before he came out was like, there was only a handful of ways to deal with nests, and Nihilus was one of them. Yeah. And so it was like it was very challenging.
Didn't they add that to Revan's kit though? Didn't they have to buff Revan's kit to do the max health reduction or bonus protection?
No, that came part of it because that was part of how he countered Traya.
Oh, okay. I must be misremembering.
Because Revan came to beat the Traya meta, then Darth Revan came to beat Revan, then Gas came to beat Darth Revan, and then and then we eventually got to GLs and things of said nature. But I mean, that's the thing is that Grand Arena. When its first inception of that, so many players were so upset about their lack of crystal income when it got transferred from Squad Arena to Grand Arena.
I was one of them.
Because they had to go from investing in a single team to get their crystals every day to having to invest in a board full of teams. And now we're at the same basically dynamic point again in the game's life where we are looking at something that's adjusting what players need to invest into to be successful. And it's just like, I lived through all this crap and people are like, well, it's just not fair. And I'm like, well, what do you think it was then? It wasn't fair then. It still sucked. Like, hey, I got a really good Relic 7 raid team and now it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Need a really good 7 other 11 teams.
I remember though that the day that we found out GAC crystals were going to be the thing and they were stripping them out of Squad Arena, I was so pissed because back then I was still a free to play guy and I had been top of my Squad Arena for months and months and months. Like it gave me such a big advantage. I was like, yeah, 500 crystals every single day for getting first, baby. I'm the king. And it was guaranteed every single day. I was so happy with that. And they're like, oh, by the way, we're taking it all away. And I was like, fuck, no.
Yeah. But I mean, and that's a thing too, though, is like everyone wants to treat it's fine. Yeah. it's not the worst thing that happened to the game. You'll have a transition period that sucks, but like, if we take them at their word, they're going to try to improve the relic process and make it easier to get to the tail end of relics. We don't know what they mean by improving the relic grind. Like we don't know what that fully encapsulates yet. Yeah. I'm hoping it's a Relic 7 because I feel like Relic 7 should be to the new landing point because that's how it was when Relics came out.
I've said this before, and I might have said it Friday night, but you know me, my memory of Friday nights is not usually the best. But I think that I think getting to 7 should be pretty easy, but I still think getting to 9 should be pretty hard. It should still be pretty difficult because it should, for something to be valuable, it needs to be powerful and hard to get. If Relic 9 is just an absolute piece of piss, then all of a sudden we're just going to have everybody with Relic 9, everything, and then it almost doesn't matter now, right? It's just, fuck, it doesn't matter. You've been playing for 6 months, well, you've got a full roster of Relic 9. Obviously, this is massive exaggerations. It probably won't be anything like that, but I feel like we should still feel like when we invest a Relic 9 character, it should be like, fuck yes. Yes, I've got a Relic 9 fucking Tits McGee. Now I'm going to squirt my blue titty milk over everybody and they're going to melt. It should feel good because right now,
almost one of those things where it's like you almost wish characters had all characters, every single one of them had somewhat a GL unique mechanic to their kits, right? Because and that's kind of what they're trying to do is basically without too much power creep. They're trying
without
to get
actually doing it. Yeah, without actually giving people some sort of scalable ability that ramps with relic levels.
Yeah.
So
I mean, we're kind of there, but I mean, I would even take like a half version, like, hey, we have the Galactic Legend unique, and we don't even, let's just say we ignore the first half, right? We just ignore the part where they take reduced damage, from all that stuff. And we just purely look at this unit gains 10% max health and protection per relic empire level, and we just leave it at that. Just leave it at that. It's like, then people would feel more rewarded. Now, granted, I know why they're not doing it. I know why what system is in play, but
it's that scalability thing that they were talking about, right? It's like,
because Relic 20 comes out and you have 200%, health and protection on these characters. It gets nutty.
Doesn't solve the issue. I'm still not a great proponent for Relic Delta in general. I like it a lot better now that we've got more clarity and we've got more things coming and they've lowered some of the numbers, but I still want more work to be done on it. But like, I understand how this kind of helps mitigate let's just throw more power creep, because this is, in my opinion, Relic Delta is like the inverse of power creep. I know that sounds kind of weird, but it is a system in place that provides situational power creep so that it doesn't have to impact anything else. All things being fair, there's no more power creep in the game. So new game modes do not need to change or adjust their difficulty. Existing game modes do not need to change or adjust their difficulty. So anything that was scaled for Relic 9 characters will work at Relic 9. Whereas if they changed all the stat bonuses throughout the Relic levels, all of a sudden they'll have to go back and look at those game modes and be like, is this now a fair battle for Relic 9, or do we need to adjust all the stats? Right? So this situationally gives you additional power without them having to actually put more power in the game, which is, that's kind of a soft win, I guess.
Yeah.
So it's kind of weird. And I agree, Scott's in the chat. This is going to play all sorts of fuckery with GAC, with people checking insights, because they're going to be like, this counter works great. And they're like, yeah, but that was at a Relic Delta or no Relic Delta, and you are Relic Delta 3. And that win rate is actually like 17%. You're like, fuck, but CG.
Well, I'm interested to see how it plays out when it hits the real world, and how people will react to it. For me, I don't mind saying that I think that this system is by and far probably the least evil that they could introduce to the game from everything else that they talked about doing. And so it's not like I'm thrilled about it, but I'm okay with it. It's coming. I want to work to make it more reasonable. I want to know the expectations. I want to have those expectations laid out to the player base of what the intent is. If you want the intent at a Relic Delta 4 to be like, man, unless this is like, a super hard counter, this is going to fail if you aren't coming at it with a mod advantage and a good datacron. Just say that to me. Don't let me have to go out and find out through losing a GAC because like, oh my god, well, you know, R5 Phoenix was supposed to take down this R8 Riva team, and I lost. I don't know. I'm so blindsided by this counter. It's just like, oh,
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
sorta, but yeah. I don't know. I just one of those things where I rather just have the expectations be laid out in front of everybody, and so that players kind of know at a glance, hey, if I'm at this relic delta, I am probably not going to win. I either need to start improving my counters and relic them up higher, or I need to come up with a different counter that is in a closer delta that will be more likely to win in that situation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean that's the whole point of the testing, the play testing. So hopefully we can get there, but we do need to, like you said, we need to understand what does CG actually want to get out of it, and then we need to temper those expectations of CG and being like, hey, let's do it without throwing the player base in a vat of acid.
I just think what we should do, real quick,
and hear me out, is fuck the peasants. And everything. No, okay, sorry. No, what should we do?
I mean, as a CG shill and apologist, I agree with that sentiment. Just R9 everything, get good scrubs, quit being so shitty at this game, spend more.
We need hang on, can we play the sarcasm noise alert now? Or we could do that. This is not a scam. This is a scam. I don't know. Whatever side of the dice you guys want to hear. Sorry. Keep going, Karth. You were going to say something.
No, I mean, like, it's one of those things where it's like, I kind of feel like I wish GG would go back into a degree and be like, you know what we're going to do? Mm-hmm. We're just going to go get rid of dodge chance off of relics. We're going to go get rid of crit avoidance off of relics. We're going to go get rid of accuracy off of relics. Like, just delete the stat. I, honest to God, think like 90% of people wouldn't care. They would just be like, you know what?
There's going to be so many people that'll be happy.
Yeah. Like, everybody that loses the evasion mechanic, I swear to God, people are just gonna be like, you know what? No, that's cool. Because I mean, like, there's going to be what? Like, let's be very over the top and say 5,000 players might be upset that their Relic 9 JTR investment is now going to be minimalized because she's no longer going to evade like a mother, and it's going to drive that Ray counter to, you know, the Ray being less won't hold as much because, you know, you're counting on the evasion mechanic, right? Uh-huh. I don't care. I'm one of those people that has it for that reason.
Kick rocks.
I don't care. Yeah, I would love for Ezra to quit evading. I'll
be honest. If Ezra Bridger Exile did not have evasion mastery, he would be relegated my account. He would, because the evasion mastery on his account, on his kit, is kind of what made me Relic 9 him. I was like, yep, that's going to be really fucking annoying. He'll still be great. And I'm not saying, I would be mad if they removed it. I would actually be very happy if they removed evasion as a mastery stat. But the problem is it's so like fucking embedded into the game. How do you provide additional power to those characters? Like, what would they do? Because they can't just take it away and be like, they're just shit now. They'll have to be like,
I mean,
he gets
they do
something.
that. They just take it away. You refund my Relic 9 on the character, and then let me put it back if I want or not. Like, do the same thing you did with the ruse mechanic on Disguised Clone Trooper, right? Like, the mechanic didn't work, even though it was supposed to. And what did they do? They just removed it and refunded the ability. It's like, okay, well, hey,
it's kind of like when you get like a really shitty mechanic, and you take your car in, and he's just like, fuck it, I couldn't fix it, it's broken, take it back, and then they don't charge you any money, or they refund you whatever you paid. Maybe that analogy is pretty shit, but it's weird that they couldn't get that 20% turn meter to trigger. It's strange. I don't know why. But hey, I've just reapplied it straight away. I don't know about you. I was just like, fuck it, I'll do it again. But then again, I suppose you and I are in a slightly different position where got mats to burn. Don't really care if I need to drop a Zeta that I've just got given back in an Omicron. I've still got like 240 odd Omicrons.
Oh my god. Yeah, I'm 180 Omicrons, and I only have one Omicron ability left to apply.
Well, you better apply that Phalanx Omicron, bro. You
I
never
already
know.
did.
You didn't. Is it the
Yeah,
saucy? Which one have you not? What one have
The
you got
Scout
left?
Trooper. Scout
Oh,
Trooper.
that's why you said I want to apply it. I was like, that makes no sense.
Yeah,
That
it's the
literally
only-
does, that
it's the
does
only
less
thing
than the
I've got
Phalanx
left.
on me in the game. Because it doesn't do anything.
But I have 180, and so it's like I've got 9
You could just
Omicron
do
set
it,
up.
to be fair.
I could do it with no repercussion. Maz comes
Yeah.
out in a couple of weeks. I've got the 6 for her, unless they drop a surprise
6?
legendary on us. Sorry, 3 for her. I'll
She's
have
not.
6
She's
left
not a
over.
GL Zeta. She's
Yeah.
not GLs and Zetas.
I'll have 6 left over after her, and even if they dropped a surprise legendary, they'd have to drop like 2 within like a month for me to be zeroed out.
I still reckon we get a surprise legendary in December or something like that, right at the end of the year.
I mean, I
Before
wouldn't be massively like
it'll be
surprised.
OSHA and May. All right.
Oh, please
no.
no. No. The Stranger is the only thing I will give CG for
Right?
the Acolyte.
The Stranger is the only one, right? CG.
I don't want anything else from the Acolyte. No, please no. Please just spend some time doing anything else. Please go down memory lane of Star Wars canon and pick up anything else. Like, I would take more content from the sequel trilogy than before we get the Acolyte, and I don't even know what we'd pull from anymore.
No, fucking. Do they go to Andor? I don't even know. Like this next era just doesn't make any kind of sense to me.
No,
I don't think it makes sense to anybody. Truth be told,
no, it doesn't. This current era makes no sense. I see it's a pivot point, but there's got to be some reason why they're basically trying to squeeze in an extra episode.
Yeah, it has to be,
or not episode, extra era.
Yeah,
right. Because
they're leaving a month. They're leaving a month of nothing before Christmas.
Basically, well, yeah, basically it's the month before Christmas. It's got nothing, and then it's so you still have the month of Christmas. And so when we did this last year, November was the last 2 marquees leading into GL Ahsoka, and then
she dropped on like the 15th of December or something, was it?
Yeah, and then the last era was just dick around and do nothing.
It was amazing. It was amazing because we had like a month or like 4 or 5 weeks, maybe 6, where we just didn't have to do anything, like invest in anything. So it was like, look at all this shit I've got. I've got so many. I've got 1,000 signal data. And then Bad Batch came, and you just went. It was a good time. So hopefully, if they gave us 2 months of fuckery.
Well, that's where I'm feeling like something is going to be short term. Like,
yeah, I agree.
Here's a couple of marquees. Here's a legendary at the end of the 2nd episode. GG, good luck. Because I'm like, I'm actually kind of sitting here looking at CG with the because the era battles are basically kind of stalled out again, right? Because we're not going to do an era battle per se with the 2 new ships that are coming. So in theory, the next era battle, if one shows up, should arrive with the new bounty hunters. Yep. In theory, and so my brain's going like, okay, so we're only running the pirate one once a week now. And we're basically going to stall on that for another month until the next. Well, actually, no, it's not a month. It would technically be like two weeks and a few days.
Yeah.
Till we get to the next one, when we might get another air battle that comes with the new marquee. But if it's the same level of difficulty that has been in the past, that one marquee isn't going to do shit either. And so I'm just like, I don't know if they do like what they did with like the Honda one, where they're like, we'll give you existing characters.
I imagine, immediately comes to mind would be just, all of the bounty hunters that Vader hired. So you'd have fucking Boba Fett and you'd have Bosk. as gifted units, or maybe there'll be allowable units within that era battle.
Yeah.
Don't know. That was another thing, actually. I don't know if you saw that, but in CG's post, they said something about they will be looking at and readdressing things like yada yada yada, yada yada yada, and era journey events. So, that was it. It was around marquee characters. Sorry to completely segue, it just pipped into my brain.
Oh, no, you're fine.
They said when they were talking about gearing characters that we won't have to worry about relic levels, they will be addressing that in marquees and era journey events, which tells me, well, I think it means when you unlock, say, Jedi Master Mace Windu, you'll get him at like Relic 3 instead of getting level 1 fresh 7-star.
doing the So giving you the characters at relics.
At relics straight out the gate, instead of it being, you've got him at level 1 and now you've got to gear him up. And
so now doubling down on the reward for the investment in those characters. So it's like,
it would be kind of
congratulations,
cool, right?
Congratulations on unlocking Balin. Here's a Relic 7 Balin as your reward. It's not just a shard game anymore. It's here's your character token. Basically, what they're going to do is Lightspeed tokens, right? Hey, if you finish this event, you get a 7-star Balin at Relic 7. Everything at gear level or ability level.
Let's be real.
7.
They won't give us the Zetas and the Omicrons. But,
no.
But hey, if they even just give us the gear to get to relic straight away, and maybe even a couple of relic levels is a bit of a
that would be
kickback. That would be kind of cool.
I mean, relic 5 to 7 would be reasonable because that's relatively cheaper. But that would be, hey, if that's where they want to go with legendaries and journey events, and they want to make that basically your reward is a Lightspeed token rewarding that particular character.
Yeah,
I'm okay with that because that to me seems a lot more fair.
Yeah,
because you're getting rewarded for the investment, which I feel would lead more players to be more interested in pursuing things sooner instead of putting them off until later.
Which tells me Relic 10 going into the scavenger, means Kyrotech can be broken down. Because if all new characters, and we don't have to worry about Kyrotech, every new character these days is 400 Kyrotech. Conquests, 500 Kyrotech. Legendaries, also 500. GLs, 700. Right? We are saving shitloads of Kyrotech. So it just goes to old characters. So the Relic 10 mats having a breakdown of Kyrotech would make sense, because otherwise, at the moment, I've got 6,000, 5,000. You've probably got like 20,000 of each Kyrotech. No way to use it. So why not let us throw that in the scavenger for Relic 10 mats?
Can I even look to see how many I have? I got to go find a node where they are
Lightside
used.
7B. For Lightside for the shock rods.
Yeah. I've got the all right, come here. I've got 2,500.
You got 2,500 or 25,000? You can't have 2,500.
2,500, yeah.
Of Kyrotech? How do I have more Kyrotech than you? That makes no sense.
Homie, flip your roster upside down and get back to me.
I mean, I've only got a handful of characters not as relics. Like, I could spend all that and still have more than you. That doesn't make sense to me, Karth. I must have wailed more on Lightspeed bundles than you.
That is exactly what happened. Because I have 3,800 of the battle computers and 2,500 of the.
I'm literally 6,000, 5,000. Like, I've got so many.
Let's put it this way, Scribe. Not a single one of my characters have ever been eligible for a Lightspeed bundle.
Fair. I'm still mad at CG for releasing the Slacker one like a week after I unlocked him. And that was the first set of Lightspeed bundles. That was so painful.
Yeah, for $10.
Yeah, for $10 fucking dollars. I would have saved thousands of Kyrotech.
It does sound like they're going to make some of them permanent though after the weekend.
I think that's a good thing. I'll be honest. I'll be like, yeah, cool.
Well,
Let people have that.
yeah, I agree. I think that encourages light spending, and then I think that encourages players to kind of get caught up on some respects
And some
of the
fun
game.
characters to play.
Yeah. Hey, you want to make your GAC board even better? Throw down like $50. Get your Christmas money out, guys. Lose that free to play pride of
Cherry.
and cherry, and just spend a couple bucks.
Pop that free to play cherry and get yourself a brand new Ray.
It's what CG would want.
Yeah. It's kind of crazy. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm hoping that we can still get things to a really good position, but like everything, we always freak out about new shit. We always freak out. Eventually it's okay. So they're the ones that have been doing this for 10 years. We've just been along for the ride and circle jerking it.
Oh, I mean, there's a lot of other issues too. I mean, people are always, it was brought up multiple times in chat. People are like, well, they're not fixing bugs. They're not fixing this, fixing that. It's like, yeah, I understand that that's a problem, but you're looking at it as if they have the ability with no consequences to pivot, figure out what the problem is, solve the problem, immediately implement it within like 48 hours, and then move along to the next thing. It's just like, yeah, I agree. They should fix more things, but trying to say that it's not going to, it's not, there's going to be no cost to it for them, or there's nothing that they're going to lose by stopping and dealing with it. It's just, this game would probably be more detrimentally impacted by not having some sort of thing every 2 weeks for an update, which requires the constant flow of content, than if they paused everything for like 2 months and said, well, we're just going to take some time to fix everything and get it back together.
Oh, God, yeah.
I think somebody
made that suggestion in my Friday night stream. They're like, let's halt all new content for a year and fix all the bugs. I'd be like, that will kill the game faster than anything.
This game would be dead. This game would be dead in 2 months. Like this, the model for this game requires a constant flow of content, because that's what the big spenders are spending on, is the new content.
Do you remember, was it 2019? And there was like a period of like 3 or 4 months where CG did nothing and there was like no posts. And everybody was just kind of like, the fuck's going on?
You mean like the second it happened in Home?
Oh,
like,
yeah, well,
the second
Home went a
month. Home went a month without a character release, and everybody immediately was to the room. This game is done. It's over. It's dead. Yeah. There's no and they were right. They tried coming out. They were like, it's just, we're trying to. They came out with a post of,
it's coming.
yeah. They came out with a post like 6 weeks later, like, we're working on it, and then just absolutely to the wall. And like, that's part of the problem with these types of games. It's really hard to do that. I mean, I was doing some rough number figuring on the business side of things for CG, and like even retooling the matchmaking system to a competent level of where people would be more satisfied with the GP matchmaking setup and everything else that we have. You're still looking at like 6 months of dev time, development, testing, getting out the door with and getting out to the players. And, you're looking at $250,000 to $500,000 just in salary for the dev team to do that. And it's like one of those things where it's like, yeah, I mean, we'd love it, but the game isn't stopping because it's not done. So it's one of those things where, as a company, you have to decide where you're committing your resources to and what you're doing. And guess what? Sometimes you got to go with what makes you money before you go what makes players happy. Unfortunately, that is a business decision that has to be made. And so everyone's not going to be happy about it. But that is a weighed cost. They make the evaluation of, hey, are we going to lose enough players for not fixing this bug? Or can we just go to the next thing and we'll get to it when we have time? And, more often than not, unless it's game breaking, it's surprising the bullshit will tolerate. And so they just keep pushing it along, which, I mean, I don't want to say it's like so holistically, like they're like, screw the players, but they want it fixed too. You listen to Crumb talk about the missing buttons bug.
Oh,
And
he's
just
passionate about that. Well,
yeah, he's very passionate about that.
he's passionate about it because the dev guys that are trying to squash it could, from what I understand, is the missing buttons bug is not the missing buttons bug. The missing buttons bug is a symptom of fuckloads of different bugs. It's like it is a symptom of many other things. It's like, you know, saying I've got the runny nose bug. You could have a cold, you could have influenza, you could have you know, any number of diseases and conditions. Like trying to address it through the symptoms. You don't address the symptoms, you address the root cause, right? And that's the issue, is there's a shitload of root causes that show up and look the same. So that's why they always want to try and get as much information whenever we have those sort of things. Speaking of, I don't know if you've seen this, Garth. Earlier today, I was just doing my one battle in Squad Arena today, and I was mirror matching Pirate King Hondo versus Pirate King Hondo. And the whole game just came to a screeching halt. Like it was just like the longer the match went on, it just went, fucking, I don't know how to deal with this, and just crashed. I was like, okay.
That's kind of funny. The only time I've had stutters that bad are with Bo-Katan Mandalore using her mass assist, and usually it's on the BlueStacks client when you do that first little. Like, I
mean, BlueStacks can barely open a Bronzium pack. Let's be fair.
It's fair. That is fair. But I mean, like it's one of those things where it's like I haven't got to fight that one. I think I'm still the only Hondo in my arena shard. Let me just open it to find out. Oh no, I do have somebody with Hondo. Okay, let me look at it real fast.
Yeah, just put it on full auto and see if it crashes and burns. It did, and I was playing on the PC client. I've never had an issue with using Hondo on offense because I've just got him as my team. I've never had an issue just using him. That's the first time I think I faced him on defense, and it just fucking destroyed my client after about 2.5, 3 minutes. It was really weird.
That would be really funny, but as far as I can tell right now, for Hondo, Leia with the Rolocron seems to be a very solid.
I haven't done any testing yet, mostly because we're going into 3s, and I think 5v5 testing isn't going to transfer. And let's be honest, I'll just layer it anyway.
Hondo, to be honest with you, Hondo's probably going to be utterly trash in 5v5 or 3v3. Sorry. I don't know if it's going to matter because I don't think it's going to do anything, but we'll find out. I'm happy to be proven wrong. I need to check to see if they've got the pirate level. Yeah, okay, they do. All right.
Well, mine was using my opponent was using the Kixcron. I was using the Pirate Cron.
We're both Pirate Crons, so that's all I've got for you right now.
Maybe it's a Kixcron issue. I don't know.
Could be. Kix has a lot of reactive skills.
Yeah, and cooldown decreases and all that sort of gubbins. It's kind of weird. It's kind of
cooldown
weird.
Increases, turn meter gains, buff gains, stat thing procs off.
I remember back in the pre-client era when we used to go into Conquest, and if you had something like Volatile Accelerator, eventually that would crash the game. Say you were going up against a crew, and he's got like 2,000 dots on him. The game would be like, fuck, so many dots, I don't know what to compute, and then eventually die. It would slow down to a crawl.
Used to be the same thing with thermal detonators too.
Yeah.
That you or anything that had damage over time, the game couldn't compute all of it at the same time.
Yeah. What was that? It was thermal exhaust, wasn't it? That was the data disk. It was like every 5 debuffs or every 3 debuffs, you get 2 thermals, and you could just have so much shit going on there. But like the PC client came around, and it made that easy. Is Wolf not streaming? He's taking a break at the moment. I don't know if he's put anything in his Discord. I'm sure he'll be back. He'll be back when he's ready. And Tim, you don't have to spend any money. Like just don't spend money, bro. Just don't spend money. That's totally cool. Should we take a look at questions? Oh, I said Tim doesn't. Cartha didn't say you. Okay, you have to.
CG would frown upon that statement. We wouldn't want to be upsetting our overlords here now, would we?
No. Listen. He's okay. We spoke to him earlier today. Big deal. He couldn't make it tonight. Okay. Let's take a look at Tribe Talks questions because that's a thing, and we have some.
We've covered portions of this already too. So
good. So first one coming in from Baba Joe. I have to imagine the entire show will be about Relic Delta, and rightly so. Yes, you are right, Baba Joe. Lots of questions, and so few answers. Yes, you're right, Baba Joe. My question is this. Can each of you give one, different one each, meta defensive team that you think will be sneaky good after Hoda and DS3? Well, they've gone now. So one sneakily good defensive team, presumably, is that actually in light of Relic Delta, or is that just in general? I think that's actually just
I'm
a general.
I'm going to just say in general after those Krons leaving.
Yeah. Okay.
Not sneaky at all, but Hondo.
Just blatant, but not in 3v3s.
In 3v3, I don't think there's going to be enough of anything. Like Slacker will just ramp and kill him. There's not enough damage on the Hondo team. I might be wrong. I haven't done enough testing.
I reckon if you went
things out long enough.
Smee Brutus, there's a lot of damage there. The problem is the AI, like turn one not using the match assist.
Yeah, but the thing is, what I mean by that though is like literally in 3v3 with Ray, what do you do on Slacker's first turn? You poke Smee, and he doesn't do anything the rest of the fight.
So it's but I mean that's the thing though. If the AI was right on Hondo, he wouldn't use Slacker's not outspeeding Hondo.
No.
So Hondo should be going mass assist, but with Darkside Ray, you can't kill anyone. So it's
and
all right, you're back to square one.
Yeah, they won't use the cooldown reduction on Slacker either. So you should, in theory, be able to just deal with it. Like Crew might get a lot of damage taken in if it's a high Relic Hondo team, but after that, I don't think I don't know. I haven't done a lot of testing, and it's hard to say for threes what's going to be good because, like, Ray is probably going to be annoying.
Find if you've got the Alpha Betty Spaghetti Cron.
Yeah, there's just a whole bunch of things that's like there are things that will probably be pretty good. It just kind of depends on what we get access to, but
Adrad Jin K2SO. That's going to be irritating, right?
Irritating, sure.
And not necessarily hard, but irritating because if you've got a really chunky K2SO, you'd have to go. This is in the context of if you've got the Adrad FDC. You can't kill Adrad till you kill K2SO, and you can't kill Jin until you kill Adrad. So you have to go K2SO, Adrad, Jin. You probably have to take in something with no revives. Because if you kill K2SO, Jin's probably going to revive her. The likelihood of them hitting Hope is quite high. I'm not saying it's going to be a meta team. I'm still thinking it'll probably just lose to something like Treya. But that's still kind of cool.
Well, even Treya can get interesting, though they didn't put any resistance penetration or offense behind the Kron. So they're not allowing Adrad just to dunk on somebody. But the K2SO bonus damage could get really, 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 really interesting.
What does he do? 150% normal damage? I can't remember.
150% bonus damage, and he inflicts offense down heal immunity for one turn on all enemies, which cannot be evaded or resisted. Whenever he loses taunt, he removes 50% turn meter from all enemies. He inflicts blind on them for 2 turns, which cannot be evaded or resisted.
That is kind of nifty. It's kind of nifty.
It's going to be annoying is what it's going to end up being. But it's one of those things where you're probably going to need something, like you said, with no revives. But I don't know if it's like, does Treya just walk that? Can Gas just walk that? Like, where does that lie? Because, you can probably get away with some of it, but it's just going to be really hard to hit. And it depends because K2 is a tank. He does not hit really hard.
No. So 150%, 150% times 5,000 is, it's only 7,500 damage.
Yeah, but we did lose all the defense Krons too, so maybe it'll be a little bit more interesting. Hard to say, but There are some of the FTCs will be interesting. I'll put it that way. But I don't know if there's going to be anything wildly tricky with this one, because the only thing that I can think of that might be a little annoying are going to be things like where you use the Rolocron. But now with JMK, Hodocron not being on defense anymore with Ezra, and then Ray Ezra not being on defense really anymore, and then on top of that with Slacker not being on defense, I don't know if there's much this first week that's going to be like sneaky good. I think it's going to be one of those things where it's like, unless your opponent puts all 10 GLs on defense, I think you'll get through most of the board.
Yeah. So to answer Swigger Overlord in the question, Tribe Talks questions are for everybody, but they are done through the Discord because it's hard to keep up with chat. So if you want to place down a question, have it answered, it has to go through the Discord, guys. That's always been the case. Yeah, I don't know. I think the 3v3 coming up, so, I don't know. The two FDCs that stand out to me are Adrad and Trench. So having Trench Dooku +1. Django is damage. I don't think that necessarily does enough for the team. You want to have probably send newts so that you can slow down the enemy team. But again, I'm not sure if it's not going to be something that's going to be, stonewalling. It's going to be something that just makes it a little bit more difficult. It's really hard to say. And obviously it's going to be tempered by where you are in GAC in terms of leagues and divisions. So yes, there'll be lots of fun things. Anything else you want to add, Karth? Or should we move on to the next question?
No, on the next one, I don't think there's anything really more to blow into that.
Oh, it's Rover. Rover has a question. So, Karth, have you seen Skeleton Crew?
I did not know. I got so close to sitting down and watching it while the wife was out of town. Like, I got it loaded. I had Disney Plus loaded. I had it selected. And then I walked back to my office and totally forgot. I was like, oh, I'm going to go check out something else real quick. And like 3 hours later, I was like, I guess not. I guess not.
Yeah, I guess not. So Rover says, knowing the impact that Relic Delta is causing, can we still put in picture that CG has set up a new group of people engaging and interacting with part of the community? How do you guys feel about this, and will CG continue to do so? We have kind of talked a little bit about this during the chat. I think it's a great thing. I think it's a great thing that CG has tried to start up that two-way communication again. Because they haven't done this since the last beta test years ago that Ranger was on. And somebody leaked all the Datacron nonsense and all hell broke loose. They have, probably justifiably so, been very hesitant to invite anybody into an inner circle and given that trust. And I think it is to the game's detriment that it hasn't been there. I understand why, but it sucks that had to happen. I think it's a positive thing that we've got that communication. And I'm hoping that it continues to be the case and we get to have a little bit more interaction about future changes as and when they arrive. And I hope that we can continue to show more stuff. What about you, Cuff?
I mean, for the most part, I think it's the right direction. I think if this goes well and we get to the point where we're able to share more, we're able to show up more, we're able to be more transparent, I think that's a good thing across the board for all the players. I know a lot of people like to have an idea of what's coming up and where things are going, but I mean, clearly just within what we've been testing so far, it's not that CG can't test and refine something. It's just when you have 25 people going through the list of what ifs, it just and with a lot of and no skin in the game, right? Like when we're talking back to CG, in what we're doing here, we don't have anything to lose, per se.
No, I mean, technically speaking, some of us do.
Yeah, some of us do. But
I would say the majority of the people involved are not community-facing content creators.
and we're not, but our
awesome.
opinions aren't going to have like, they're not going to affect our job performance or anything like that. And I'm not saying that by any means that they don't do that, but even in a group where people are, you're in a different power dynamic or whatever else, people might be a little gun shy about sharing their opinions, or they might feel stupid for asking what they think is a dumb question. But for us, it's like, we don't care. We'll ask that question because you can think I'm an idiot for all you want. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
So I am an idiot. Yeah. I'm a good one. I am a good idiot.
Yeah. But I've got my idiot certificate hanging up on the ceiling. So
it's back there somewhere. But anyways, the short of it is that it just goes to show you that it's like when you're able to bounce ideas off of that many people who are actively trying to basically take whatever you have and break it, it gives you a lot more feedback in a lot faster fashion than what we see normally with their inner testing. And that's speculation. I don't know how their inner testing works, but it's how things work whenever we brought anything live into the game in the past, is that when you bring something live and you have hundreds of thousands of players testing it, you find what breaks very quickly, right?
Yeah, of course you do. Yeah, because you got hundreds of thousands of people testing it, not a dozen.
Yeah, and so you're just getting the test results back quicker on that kind of stuff, and so that's why it always feels that way, that they don't test their game and things break. But the other thing is too is that, and they've said multiple times, they've had things that work in their client that when they push live, something else breaks, and they don't have a control over that. Like, it worked for them before they push it out. They make sure that that's the case. They don't knowingly shove a bug out the door and go, well, I hope they don't notice it. And I'm like, we're going to notice it. We notice it quite quickly, very, very often. And so it's one of those things where it's just, this is overall better for everybody. It gives everyone more time to see what's working, to see what's going on. You have people that are very good at stressing things to see if they're functioning. Because we had that happen even in the beta test. We had a snafu where somebody entered the wrong numbers in and
fucked everything. Yes.
Yeah. It totally trashed the testing results.
Yeah. Invalidated the testings for 4 days. So
because it no longer was that level. Like, Relic 9 Ewoks punching into a Relic 5 Lord Vader team. Well, yeah, they have their stats cut by 50%. Of course you're going to run over them with Ewoks.
Well, no, I think the bigger issue there was Relic 7 Ewoks were beating R5 Vader. Like, that was the weird thing. It was like, what?
But those were still seeing the same
the
stat
same
cut.
Yeah, the same. They fucked around with the wrong thing. They did the wrong.
Yeah.
And let's I know it's really easy to jump on CG and be like, they're incompetent as fuck. All right. You've never made a mistake at work? No, you've never done a typo in an email? Fuck off.
Yeah. Well, and that's quite literally what it was, though. The dev we were talking to, he mistook how their system worked on the numbers. And so, some systems are a net value plus, and other systems are base value, or I'm using the wrong terminology here, but basically he made a conclusion that was based on the wrong information. That, if you're not the one that's, if you're not the engineer on the thing, it's not that hard to make a mistake on. Because it's like, are you multiplying by, like 1.5 or is it 0.5? And you're in the data is assuming the base value already. And so sometimes you make a mistake in the code and it causes a problem. Well, hey, we found it. We figured out why it made sense. I was really bummed. I was enjoying my Relic 9 Old Republic, just smoking everything. So much fun for me.
Yeah.
So much fun.
But we eventually got around and fixed it. Nobody immediately was like, this is wrong. But then,
it took us 3 days.
Yeah.
It took until after the last tribe talks before I was like sitting down and being like,
this isn't quite right. Yeah.
My Carthonasi is moving before this cat. Mm-hmm. And that should never happen.
No, that should not happen. I don't, even if they've, got really crap mods, but especially when they said their speed is being modified by 70%. Like, did you accidentally divide by 70%, or Yeah,
Well,
so
it
yeah,
was
shit happens, but this is why testing is important. So it's a good thing.
But it's a good thing.
Yeah.
It's helpful.
So Rover's next part of the question is: have you seen the new trailer for Star Wars Visions? Are you excited for any of them? He likes the samurai version follow-up for the first season. I will be frank. I'm going to jump in here. I've not seen the trailer, and I've also never watched an episode of Star Wars Visions. So no.
I will follow up right behind you and say I am not really interested in
We
Star
can't even
Wars
get you to watch
Visions
Skeleton Crew.
content.
So
I know, but the short of it for me is that as much as I enjoy the as much as I enjoy like what they're trying to attempt with it, I don't really care about Visions because it's just fan art essentially. And I know that's oversimplifying it, but that's essentially what it becomes. And I'm like, well, I don't want to even like I have no interest to go pursue something where it's just like, well, we thought it'd be cool if we did this, and then but it has no bearing or impact on the
so is Star
the
Wars
universe.
Visions a what if? Is that what Star Wars
Yeah,
Visions is? It's a
well,
what if.
it's not. Part of it's a what if. Part of it is it's telling stories in different animation styles.
Okay.
That's a big portion of a lot of what the Visions are, is using different animation styles to tell Star Wars stories. Not really a what if ism per se. They do have some stories that do run down that train of thought, but it's more about different animation styles. And again, while some of them are really good, they're not even like they're one episode stories, and it's just like I have such low interest for trying to follow up with the because it also doesn't.
That's fair.
It doesn't also mean anything for the franchise. They've been pretty clear that like, well, this is just like we're just trying it out.
They're just random one shots, guys. All right, cool.
Yeah.
So no, Rover. I should at some point. I will at some point. Rover then asks about Skeleton Crew, but we know you haven't watched that. And finally, with only 3 months left of what? Who or what is your favorite addition of the year? What's your favorite unit of the year, or addition of the year, Karth? What's your favorite thing that happened?
Rogue One.
Oh. Yeah, but my reasons for loving Rogue One are entirely petty.
Oh, mine too.
Like,
no,
fuck
like,
the punishing one. That's the
exactly.
the only reason I like that ship.
That's 100% where I'm at too, though. I love that we just like totally voided the fact that ship came in for the
It
executive.
took us like a year to get there, but yeah.
But like, to be honest, like Jedi Master Mace is still sitting in the wings of usability because Datacrons are going to ebb and flow on his functionality. It's a good team, but he hasn't really been found since he is a TW based team, though he's having a hard time functioning per se.
Well, a lot of people just don't do TW armies, and I don't really blame them. That's a CG problem more than a
But what I mean by that is that the power levels behind it are substandard because everything's around Jocasta. Jocasta is kind of a one-trick pony. She's easy to control. She doesn't do much on offense unless you get
suffers
very
heavily
poor
versus
RN.
Malgus
or Treya. There's a lot of things that
yeah.
just don't really do that well. And so it's one of those things where it's like there's a lot of nuance to it. As Datacrons roll through and things improve, it'll probably get better. But not a team that was excited for. The clones, I really don't. It's cool that Lord Vader now leads clones. Happy about
I love that. Yeah.
Don't really care about the team because it still doesn't really move the needle. You can still take the old Lord Vader team and still punch up against a lot of hell. There's actually some counters that Lord Vader needs the old Lord Vader team to even win still, which I find hysterical.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I remember seeing Arnold doing day one testing versus Pirate King Hondo, and like the OG Maul variant of Lord Vader could beat it, but the clones version couldn't. So it's like, huh.
Which I'm cool with that. I'll lead Lord Vader on offense this next go around, and I'll just use it as my utility tool for whatever I want to go beat up. If I need to take Maul and Piet with him instead of taking, Apo and CX2.
I think the reason, and I do agree, I think I am probably most excited about Rogue One, just because the rest of the year is just a little bit flat. It's like the season 3 Bad Batch to me just like they are a really good team, but I don't get excited about them. They're a very good team.
They are a sleeper. I'll give them that. They are a team that can punch up a hell of a lot, more than people would think because of the mechanics. But they're not interesting. They're not. They're just. We are a buttload of sustain and stealth. It's like, okay, cool.
And same thing of turn meter for some reason in Crosshair, like
in Crosshair. But Master Mace is kind of the same thing. It's like, well, we do a bunch of damage. We have this investigate mechanic, but the investigate mechanic isn't really that interesting. And
the AI plays me like garbage.
Well, there's that. And then on top of that, too, is like the one thing that everyone has a ton of access to is Sith. And that's the one thing he just goes, but I don't do well versus Sith. And it's just like...
It should have been like the polar opposite. It should have been the polar opposite, right? It should have been almost like if you get isolated, reverse the isolate on the target character. It should have been like that blatant. It should have been like, you're trying to use Treya. Get fucked. You can't it's a weird choice.
And so it was...
If the enemy gains ferocity, they take 30% max health damage for each stack of ferocity. Yeah. Just like Darth Revan takes a turn and just dies.
Whenever ferocity is applied, dispel ferocity and deal 10% max health damage to the enemy for every stack dispelled. There are just a lot of things that went against it. I mean, I think with the new Kron set favoring Darkseid, it's only going to get worse. Master Mace will be a bench unit for a while. Mm-hmm. And that's been kind of the low-key problem with this last year's releases as full squads, is that a lot of it is going to wind up on the bench again because of either datacrons that are in play or the fact that the team isn't as meaningful in the most played game modes. I mean, hell, even in TW, I don't think Jedi Master Mace has been that big of a threat.
Where I sit in Maw, he has been a defensive team with triple Onis on Jedi Master Mace, and I can't tell you if he gets any holds.
And that's mostly because he's new, not because he's a meta thing. And he had an FDC up until about a week ago. That was a nuisance as well. But I mean, when our guild faced them, I mean, we never really had a problem clearing it. You just had a particular counter saved for it. And so it's one of those things where it's like a lot of the years kind of fallen flat on the impact. Now that the old DC's gone, Hondo has his kind of time to shine with the new Pirate DC. Hondo is going to be fun and interesting to play. When this next go. But I mean, Pirates is a faction that a lot of people weren't really psyched for. To be honest, I'm more interested to see what Maz Pirates does than what Hondo Pirates does. And can't give you.
If R9 Maz can shortman the raid at the top tier, I'll be happy enough. Like that'll be my 18 mil. Then I'll just be like R9 Maz. And
don't you already have a couple of that group R9 too?
I do. I've got all of the OG pirates. I've got Ithano, Quigold, Kex. They're all R9. Smee is R9. Pirate King Hondo's R9. Brutus is R9. So I'm hoping I can split the pirate faction with an R9 Maz. So Pirate King Hondo R9 team, Maz R9 team to get 3.6 each.
You were already able to do a 3-man team for Pirate King Hondo. So
so Hondo can 3-man with like Pirate King Hondo, OG Hondo, and either Smee or Brutus. So if Maz can take the rest, the leftovers that I've got, and still get the max score, I'll be quite happy. And with Relic Delta, I don't mind having an R9. She's a conquest unit. She's probably going to be pretty good. So it'll be cool. Hopefully, maybe.
We were able to do, ironically, some testing.
With Maz, yeah.
And it's been interesting, but it's hard to say how effective things are because I think most of my testing is prior to the fixing the stats, and so I haven't gone back through and fussed with anything yet. But maybe I'll look at that when I have some time later this evening.
We'll move on to the next question. This comes from Tralax, or Tralax. He says, version 3 of Relic Delta seems much more reasonable. Do you think it's going to launch as such? Carl, take it away.
I mean, we covered this pretty extensively towards the beginning, but I will say that I think the deltas of 3 and 4 need to drop about 15 to 20%. And then let that be the kind of scale that they work with. Whereas Relic Delta 1 and 2, if you're 2 deltas away, your counters will still work, no problems. Mm-hmm. Or, you might rely a little bit more on good modding and Datacrons, where counters would still need to succeed in that fashion anyways.
Yeah.
3 and 4 needs to be kind of the realm where it's less about soft counters, more about hard counters. That
good modding, good approach.
Good modding, good approach, good Datacrons will have you being successful in those counters at those deltas. But if you are not prepared, you're not modded for it, you don't have a Datacron to go into a team with a Datacron, that you'll start seeing very high fail rates. And I'm fine with that if that's how they want it to be. And then Delta 5 is just the go get bent. No one gives a care about how good your mods are, how good your Datacron is. You're not surviving this.
I'll be honest. Yes, we have covered it. I think Karth has covered it very well there. I think Relic Delta 1 and 2, we're set. It's fine. Relic Delta 3 and 4, I think, is too punitive. Relic Delta 5, I also think is totally fine. Yes, 200% incoming damage is crazy. 66% less damage is crazy. But that's the new world. A Relic Delta of 5 is going to be, just don't play at this zone. Just put more Relic levels. We're getting access to more Relic levels, okay? Now, I expect this version of Relic Delta to not change drastically before it goes live. I think we might see a slight tweak, but I don't think it's going to be big swathing changes. And I think that will be okay when we adjust to it. It'll just take some time.
Yeah. I think the same. I think it needs to come down a little bit more on the 3 and 4, and then when we're able to test with other facets, that'll kind of give me the answers I need to be okay with it. But that's kind of the problem, is right now we're not testing with Datacrons, so it's very challenging to say those things. And then also on that too, we're testing average mod loadouts. We're not testing for
we're not testing high end.
Which I think might render some better feedback and might give incentive to players to mod their defensive teams better. And think about who they're using on their defensive team better, because it's going to matter more, because certain squads are a lot more obnoxious with, Captain Rex. Leo Captain Rex is a very annoying defensive team when you can't attack on a turn anymore. It really slows some things down. There are certain JMK comps that are a lot more complicated when they have gas 501st. So there are things that we can manipulate to be more successful under Relic Delta, and I think players will just have to learn to adjust to that as it rolls out.
We always do. So thank you so much for the question. Bomber, your best friend Bomber has a question for you today, Karth, especially for Karth. What do you think about Arnold's game for VR? He's got a new game called Chronoseum. I want to say Chronoseum. What do you think? I
told Bomber I would not discuss this, so we can just skip it.
You're like, Bomber?
This is why he asked it. I
won't perjure myself on stream.
I just told him I wouldn't discuss it on the podcast because it's not Solgar related, and I don't care. It's like,
fair enough.
He can do what he wants. That's fine with me. I'm not going to go shit on him because he's doing something on his own.
No.
But I'm not interested in it either. So it's just easier for me to go, nope.
So
no.
I will give my high level opinion of Chronoseum. I think that it's absolutely fantastic that someone is able to chase a dream like this and has realized it through hard work and diligence and fucking grit, basically. I think he's done a great job. He's assembled a great team. I personally do not have a VR headset, so I'm not going to cover it. I don't see myself buying a VR headset. The medium doesn't appeal to me right now. Maybe at some point it will. I understand the reasons behind why he's done VR is because it is a cheaper medium to invest in and it shows potential. I feel like he's doing VR to try and use it as a proof of concept so he can then try and push it to mainstream console or PC. I wish him all the best. I hope he is very successful. But it's not for me personally. I just, let's be real. If it was a mobile game or a PC game, I would play it because it's Arnold making a game and he comes from the Swigger content creator universe. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't play it unless it happened to be a fantastic game. It's like we say this all the time about Galaxy of Heroes. We say if it wasn't for the Star Wars IP, nobody would play this game. Making a new IP, especially a new IP, without any prior experience, creating any game, nothing to base it on, that's a very difficult thing to do. He's got some amazing people behind him, that can help make that a reality, right? But I'm not going to just play a random VR game with no IP unless I knew it was because Arnold is making it, and there is a Swigger connection there, right? So I wish him all the best. And I hope he is incredibly successful, and I hope it's a really fun game. And if it is so fun that it manages to get me to buy a VR headset, then I think that's a win for everybody. So thank you, Bomber. Darth Jar Jar has a question next, Karth. The profundity counter with the Home 1 and Bounty Hunter ships. What level of investment do I need to beat profundity? I mean, I don't know. I haven't tried that just yet.
The profundity counter with Home 1 and the Bounty Hunter ships. So basically get rid of the Rogue One.
Yeah.
The Rogue One nerf because of not having Empire Lead.
Empire Lead, yeah. I've never tried
Honest to God, haven't even gotten to it yet. I am gonna mirror match the profundity with the TIE Bomber if I ever see it on defense. That's it. That's all I've got for you. I'm not putting any of my meta fleets down for a long time because they're also easily beaten. You get better banner bleed out of the B team fleets. Even taking meta into them, you'll get better banner bleed than you will leaving your meta teams on defense. And it's just like, for the majority, depends on how they decide to go into it, right? But for the most part, it's like, so I'm not going to worry about it. But I don't have an answer for you because I haven't seen that.
Yeah, I haven't tried it. I haven't tried it. And to answer, I was just saying the section, have you not heard of it? Yeah, I've heard of it. I've just never used it because I don't have a need to. I have everything. I should learn it from a perspective of I'm a content creator and I need to give valuable content out to the viewership. So maybe this is what I'm going to be doing next week is I'm going to be finding out how that counter works exactly. So
my guess is it's going to be requiring certain speed thresholds or maybe specific turn orders, which might mean that some people are just trash because they already have high relic invested, or it might be that they're already good because, of course, they just have the what's the right word for that? I mean, they have the relic thresholds already met.
I can't help but feel like you just take in the normal starting lineup and maybe throw in the TIE Bomber and be like, I've got burning.
Well, but isn't that like how you beat every profundity lineup?
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah, it's how you
bring
beat
in
every
the TIE Bomber.
TIE Bomber is the counter. It kind of fucks the profundity in general.
Honest to God, though, I think it's going to be funny to watch this with the no, I was just thinking you could do some crazy stuff with the Home 1 and the B-Wing, but I just realized that the Bounty Hunter ships are scoundrels.
Oh yeah, that does kind of make things a little bit fucky. So thank you, Darth Jar Jar. Next up is Sotico or Teeks inside of the Discord. Do you think that GL level conquest characters could come out maybe every other year in off time between GLs? One that has got 6 armies. Will that be your first passion project? And what will... okay, we'll answer that second question later. Do you think, Karth, that we will get a GL level conquest character that comes out early? Okay.
Nope. Nope. Not going to happen.
Next question. Moving on. Yeah, no, I actually agree. I don't think they'll ever do... conquest characters are powerful enough as is. If you look at GL Ahsoka Tano, right? Ezra is the fucking focus. He's the shining light. He's the glue that makes that team, not GL Ahsoka.
Well, that's their own mistake. To be fair,
I completely agree. Yeah.
Like they could have done that differently, but no, I don't see them doing a GL with 6 Omicrons. I feel like either A, you're going to have way too many shitty Omicrons. We already have that problem with 3 Omicron characters where you always have like one that's a joke anyways, one that's necessary and one that's like, well, depending on where you're fighting, you probably need it or you may not. So I don't see them doing anything crazier with that, but they've kind of established what Conquest is for. Conquest is for, lifting certain teams up or for supporting other squads that already exist. And so I don't see them using that as a function to push out a GL level character. So back to reiterate my first point, no.
Yeah, no, I don't think it'll happen either. I don't like. We've got enough punch up ability, enough power creep in the game that exists outside of the GL tier. I don't think we need more of it. So I hope not. I hope not. His second question from Sotico is, what will your first passion project R10 be, Garth, and why is it Carth Onasi?
If it wasn't a complete and utter waste of a character to Relic 10.
It's a passion project, man. It doesn't have to be
I don't,
viable.
Well, listen.
My passion is winning.
My first passion project would be knowing what stats are being modified and by how much. And then I could tell you from there what I would want to work on as a passion project. But you could blindly stab in the dark and say so many random things. But if I don't know what the stats are going to increase, then it's just like, well, I could pick any character. I'll do Jedi Knight Cal Kestis as my first Relic 10. And it's like, oh, yeah, cool. But the reality is that if I were to pick that or make the decision, it would be based solely on what stats are being improved. And then I could tell you a passion project that I'd have. It's just like my passion project from the game, since Relic 9 released was doing all the tanks.
Yeah.
And I'm getting there slowly.
Yeah, you're nearly there on the R10 tank. Oh, 9 tanks. Sorry. I don't think I have a passion project for R10, but if I was forced to choose one, it would be Malakos, and Malakos is currently R8. So he needs to be passion project Relic 9 first.
I have 11 tanks not at R9 yet.
Are they R8?
The only 2 that aren't R8 yet are Tebow and Jedi Knight Guardian. They're R7. But everything else is already R8. Well, literally everything in my count is R7 or higher. So
it annoys me to no end that my Tebow is R9 and yours isn't. All right.
How about you trade Tebows and I'll give you the mats back?
Yeah. Can I spend that on Malakos then? That would be great.
Whatever you want.
Yeah, I'll do that immediately. That is a good deal.
Yeah. That if I had to say a passion project, it'd probably end up being a tank. But my gut says that even if I would still have a hard time giving you an answer until I knew what the stats were going to be.
Yeah. We can only make assumptions right now. So the final question then comes from a new joiner to the tribe. His name is Hitter. And he says, do you think they will fix the AI of Pirate King Hondo on defense? Also, do you think that if Pirate King Hondo's teams gained Lightning Raid for 1 turn every time he ulted, then it would balance him out a bit better with the other GLs? Garth, I'll let you answer.
No, they're not going to fix the AI because they have to leave intentional weaknesses into it for players to exploit. Because they played it perfectly, then it would be really hard to counter. So good luck on them fixing that. But I haven't seen a problem. He uses all of his abilities now, which I think prior he was having a hard time using all of his abilities while on defense. But maybe I haven't fought too many of them, so I haven't been paying a ton of attention. So perhaps I'm wrong on that front. But as right now, as the meta sits, Hondo does not need other things happening with the alt besides what he has happening right now. He can literally mass assist on his first turn and probably kill somebody on an opposing team. So I would see it very challenging for CG wanting to buff this. I've gone into freaking JMK teams and killed JMK on the first salvo. So I can't see them needing to worry about it too much on needing to buff his damage performance. I think it was just really it depends on what you're fighting into on the Krons. But with the Hermit Yoda stuff going away, I think he's going to be a lot more viable on
the
offense.
Krons definitely skewed our perception of Hondo, because those Hodocrons would just stop it dead. Now you can just insta kill the GL, and it works for Lord Vader as well. That's a pretty big deal to just be able to go, by the way, that unit is dead. And if that unit is the GL, it's kind of like, okay, well, that's game over. So I think it's okay. I think it just highlights an issue that maybe Hondo is a little bit susceptible if the enemy has got a particularly large amount of bulk on the Datacron.
And the Kron too. The current Kron has a lot of bulk for Hondo's team as well. I mean, 15% for each dark side ally is going to give them 60%, or I don't know if they ever fixed it, but 60 to 70% stat increase, which is pretty huge for a team that a lot of people are going to have high relic investment on.
Well, he's a difficult son of a bitch to take down himself. He's very tanky and he's got a lot of sustain and evasion, obviously. So give him that extra bulk, and it becomes a little bit trickier again. So yeah, I'm not sure. I don't think I agree with Karth. I don't think they really adjust his AI any further. I don't think that they I do have a thematic issue with how his ult operates right now, because he's the only GL in the game that it feels like you just hold the ult. You only ever use the ult if you've lost a lot of your units. And that just feels weird. And ultimate, to me, feels like this should be something that gives me an advantage, not something that I have to use if things are going south. And
to be honest,
that
with
feels
you, though,
a little way with me. So
I feel like his ult isn't that bad.
Okay. It's great in TB. I'll give it that.
well, it depends on who you're fighting, right? Because if you're going against Lord Vader or JMK, he strips well, specifically Jedi and Sith, though. That's part of what his kit does, right?
Yeah.
He strips Terminator out of them, and then
isn't Lord Vader immune to TM?
He is. Yeah. He is. But Jedi and Sith enemies also have their cooldowns reduced by 2 when you use the ult. So it's a great way to control JMK later as the fight progresses, and then the enemies gain the buffs, you steal them. But the tenuous agreement stuff does help your characters a little bit, because it gives you a little bit of bulkiness to your team if they're starting to ramp damage on you. And then you get a little bit of a stat increase as well, plus some regeneration. And so it's one that, the overall mechanic, yes, it does feel better to wait until you lose somebody, but you do gain things from using the ult. They're just not some of them are, depending on what you're countering, what you're fighting against, you're better to wait to lose that first person, then pop the ult, get going, and circle back. But I find that you can just spam it as much as you want, and it's not really going to impact the outcome of the fight if you were to wait and hold it. So that's all I've got for that one.
That's fair. And that, Karth, is our final question. We are 2.5 hours in, so I'm probably going to wrap it up here. It's late, and I do have a cold. So yeah,
I gotta go mow some grass.
You gotta touch some grass. All right. I mean, that's usually a good sign.
Literally.
Right. Well, ladies and gentlemen of the tribe, thank you so much for joining us for Tribe Talks. Once again, just Karth and myself today. We will maybe see you in a week's time. I guess we'll find out. Love you all. Good night, and see you all tomorrow. Bye-bye.